Hi guys, this is Blanca Smith with the Bridge Group by EXP and a proud affiliate of the Homes for Heroes program. Today is a very special interview with my wonderful friend of 20 years, Fred Gorton. Fred and we actually met about 20 years ago in the title industry. We worked together for a while. He has been a fantastic, phenomenal friend of mine for a very good, for a very long time. This is a very special interview, guys, because he's been in the business that long. So he's going to give a lot of information that is going to be fantastic. Fred, what can you tell us about yourself?
Well, I was born and raised here in Houston, Texas. I have lived here most of my life and grew up in the Memorial area. Around junior high, my family moved to the Cypress area, so I graduated from Cypress High School.
Okay.
Graduated from the University of Houston.
Okay.
And I have been in the title business, the real estate title business, since the year 2001. And I had a family member that was already in this business, and he got me into the title business and thoroughly enjoy it. I've been doing this again for some time and have had the opportunity to meet lots of great people and have become friends with people like yourself, friends, you and Richard and others in this business that I would have never met otherwise. So it's a great business to be in, and real estate, especially in the Houston area, is a wonderful opportunity for anyone buying or selling real estate.
Yes, it is. It really is.
I don't know if that made a lot of sense, but
No, but we are actually the growing, one of the fastest growing states, especially, the Dallas, the Houston area, the Austin area, the Hill Country.
Yeah.
It's just crazy how much bigger everything is getting and how quickly everything is getting.
And on a national level, you have California, New York, Florida that have severe ups and severe downs, but Houston and Texas seems to be pretty consistent. It doesn't fluctuate up and down as much as some of the other parts of the country do.
Exactly. All right. In simple terms, what does a title company actually do in a real estate transaction?
And that is a very good question, because a lot of people are, they don't know that. Title insurance is kind of a mysterious subject. What a title company does is we insure a real estate transaction. We insure the buyer that the property that they are receiving is free of any title defect. That we have researched the seller, made sure that the seller truly is the seller. If they're married, if they're single, whatever their status may be. We look at liens that are attached to the property, make sure that there's no outstanding lawsuits or judgments. And if there are, we get those cleared and resolved before we actually go to settlement with the buyer and the seller. At the very end, we insure the transaction again. We ensure that the buyer is receiving title that's free and clear. So when they purchase the property, they can breathe easily and know that the property that they're receiving is theirs and it's truly theirs, and is not that there's not anything that's negative or nothing that is attached to the property that would not be favorable to them.
Right. And can you actually let the public know how it protects the homeowners when they actually use the title insurance? Because a lot of people think that, the title insurance is only maybe, for the seller, or they don't realize that it's also for the buyer. So, that's one of the things that I always, let my clients know. We have the title insurance, buyer and seller, and we go into details about that. So how does that protect them? Can you explain to the public how it protects them in the event of you guys closing and then something happening with the property that they have to come back to you guys?
Well, again, what we do is we insure the buyer that the title of the property is free of any title defect. And again, we're an insurance company, so if we do close and there is something that's unresolved that's discovered after the closing, the buyer would come back and file a claim against us. An example of an insurance claim would be if you were in a car accident and the person that you were in the car accident with, who caused the accident, you would file a claim against them, or at least against their insurance company. And it's the same scenario in title insurance. Again, if the buyer buys a property and there's any kind of title defect that wasn't discovered before the closing, then they would come back and file a claim against us. We have many people throughout our organization that do nothing but read title documents all day to help prevent that from happening, because we have a next to perfect, don't include that, I don't want to make promises, but we lost my train of thought. But again, we take the extra effort and go the extra mile to make sure that those things don't happen.
Okay. Since you actually hit a subject, and that subject was very important, when you said, you're, assuring that, the seller is, and the buyer, they're single, divorced, widow, a lot of people consider common law marriage, as a part of the community property in the state of Texas. Can you explain all those differences that you have seen? Because a lot of people do get confused, when it comes to like, okay, I introduced so-and-so as my, husband, but they're common law marriage, and they think that they're entitled to their property, when in reality they're not.
Right.
Then you have, other people that they're, still married, but they've been separated for a very long time. I mean, how do you all that?
When I first got into this business, it was explained to me, it's very simple. You're either single or you're married. And there's different variations of both of those scenarios, but truly you're either a single person or you are a person that entered into a marriage with another person. We have seen situations where people are married, but possibly separated, or maybe even going through a divorce, but at the time of the closing, they're still married. So technically, they're married. In a real estate transaction, when you have a seller, we need to know up front what their marital status is. If they're single, that's fine. You can be single. But if they're married, and the other person needs to join in on the transaction. Common law marriage doesn't come up as much as you would think that it would, because usually in a case of a common law marriage, if it's on the seller side, there are two people that are single, and that's fine as well. The two single people can come to the closing and sell the property as two single people, as long as they identify their marital status for both people as both being single.
Okay. Well, there you have it, guys. I know a lot of people, get a lot of things confused when it comes to the title, especially when, you are rather single or, divorced, not common law. Okay. Especially in the state of Texas, we are common law state, which means if you are married,
you're married.
Exactly. There's no way around it, guys. Okay, even if you've been separated for 35 years, it doesn't count. How long do you normally say that the whole process would actually take? Starting from opening title to doing the title research, clearing out title if there's any title issues and stuff like that.
That's a very good question. Every transaction is different from the last one. So just to give you an idea, usually when we open a title, usually we have a earnest money contract between the buyer and seller. And usually it takes about 3 to 5 days to get the title work returned. Once we have the title work, then we know what we're up against. Sometimes we get title work back and everything's clean and clear, and it can be a quick process. Sometimes we get title work back and there's issues and things that need to be addressed, and it just depends on what those issues are and how long it would take to reach out to the people that are on the other side to get the problems resolved. If the transaction is a cash transaction, meaning the buyer is paying for the property cash, not using a lender, that makes the process, the closing process, go a lot quicker. than if they have a lender. If a buyer uses a lender, sometimes start to finish can be 30 to 45 days.
Okay. Well, there you have it, guys. You hear it from the title company. So when I tell you guys that normally it will take 30 to 45, days, because this is the reason why, guys, because we don't know what we're gonna run into. At the end of the day, guys, we're in real estate.
That's right.
And every day is something new. So for sellers, what can they do in advance to make sure the title process goes smoothly?
Well, sellers that we work with that are organized and have their records and can provide us the information on their current loans and are able to get that to us quickly makes the process go a lot smoother. We have had situations before where the sellers are, hard to communicate with, maybe don't return emails right away or phone calls right away, and that's fine. But having a seller that's involved and active and being able to get the information back to you quickly makes the process go so much smoothly and easier.
Right. Okay, so for buyers, what should they expect at the closing table?
What should a buyer expect at the closing table? That's another great question. You have some great questions. Usually when a buyer comes into closing, if they are working with a lender, they have already been provided a copy of the lender's closing disclosure and the pertinent documents that they'll sign at closing. So usually a closing is just a formality. It's just the fact that the people come in and acknowledge the closing documents with their signature. And usually the closing process is just, again, it's a formality. It's just going through the motions of the information that they've already been provided to by their lender.
Okay. Are there any costs associated with title work that buyers or sellers might not be aware of?
We disclose all of our costs up front, so there are no last-minute surprises. The title costs are always disclosed to buyer and seller prior to a closing.
So what is the percentage that a seller and a buyer should expect to pay if the seller doesn't pay for the title insurance? I would say just a percentage for each one of the parties. Maybe 1% of the transaction, maybe 2% for both.
Maybe don't include that as a question. I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head.
Okay.
Yeah.
So take that one out.
I get asked that all the time, but what I do is if somebody says, "What's the title policy on $250,000?" and I have my computer
and type it in.
Right,
okay.
Right, yeah.
What advice do you have for first-time buyers or sellers to make closing days stress-free?
Again, usually the buyers and sellers have been provided with their settlement statement prior to the closing, and any questions that they may have could be answered prior to the closing. So when they do come to the settlement table, it's just a formality. It's just a matter of signing papers and getting through the closing process. I would advise buyer and sellers to read the settlement statements that are sent to them prior to the closing and be knowledgeable of what the costs are. And if they do have questions, reach out to the title agent, and people like myself are always happy to answer their questions.
Right. Yeah, guys, it's always better, when we go straight to title. Real estate, everybody's in their lane for a reason. It's always best, if you do have a question regarding about, the title fees or anything like that, it's always best for you to contact, the closer, like Fred, so he can go more into details as of what are the charges and all that good stuff. What's one surprising thing that people often don't know about the closing process?
One surprising thing that people don't know about the closing process. I can't think of one thing. It is always, as Richard knows, every closing is different and different things come up at different times.
Okay.
So I can't think of one thing.
Okay, can you share a real life example of a title issue that was caught early and saved the deal? Okay.
I'm sure after we leave here, I will think of several, but I get off the top of my head.
Like 20,000 will come up.
Right.
If you could give home buyers just one piece of advice before closing date, what would it be?
To be knowledgeable of the circumstances of your closing, work closely with your real estate agent, work closely with your lender and your title company, and be involved. Know what you are agreeing to, and again, if you do have questions, any question is a good question. So always feel free to ask questions.
Exactly. What's the most common misconception about title companies?
I don't know.
Okay. Have you ever seen a closing that went perfectly smoothly from start to finish, and what made it work so well?
That is a very good question. I would think that once again, having customers and agents and lenders that are all involved and connected with each other, and communication is key. Having good communication skills and being able to communicate with each other and being upfront about the issues and the matters that are involved makes the closing process go so much smoother for everyone.
Yes, and being accessible, guys, is not just the communication within the parties, that they're involved, which is the lender, the title company, the realtor, and the buyer. Communication is the most important thing, like you heard it from Fred. Communication, even if you have to over communicate, okay? So what can a seller do if an issue comes up right before closing to avoid delays?
What can a seller do? Say that one more, sorry.
What can a seller do if an issue comes up right before closing to avoid delays?
Being able to, being involved and being able to communicate and being able to, being ready to respond if whatever the issues may be, and being able to help.
All right, guys, he basically just explained of how do you keep everybody, the buyers, sellers, agents, at the same page during the process. We already talked about the communication, about everybody being on the same page. Guys, it is very important that whether you're buying or selling a house, that you hire a trusted realtor and a trusted, title company. It is very important. It is the biggest investment of your life. And communication is the key when it comes to everything. Let's say, for instance, if something is missing from the buyer that I'm representing, Fred for sure is gonna be calling me saying, "Hey, I'm waiting for this paperwork and I haven't heard anything from them." So what's gonna happen? We're gonna call you and we're gonna let you know, hey, the title company is calling us. Is there a delay? Is there an issue? Because time is of the essence, guys. And the reason of this podcast is so that way you guys are aware of every single step that involves real estate. It's not just opening a door, it's more than that. It's your biggest investment, is all the money that you have worked for, and that is your dream. And you are trying to catch that dream. So that is why it's very important that you hire a very trusted realtor, a very trusted title company, and a very trusted lender if you're using a lender. So once again, thank you so much, Fred, for your
Thank
time.
you, Blanca. Absolutely.
I truly appreciate your time and answering some of my questions.
Yes.
Guys, I'm going to be putting his information along with mine. So if you guys want to get a hold of Fred, how can they get a hold of you?
Well, my name is Fred Gordon. I'm with Capital Title. My email address is teamfred, team, just like a baseball team, TEAMFRED at CTOT.com. CTOT, Capital Title of Texas.com. My cell is 832-970-3824. I am accessible 24/7. My phone rings all the time, believe it or not, weekends, after hours, before hours, and I'm always available to help and answer your questions.
Yes, he is, guys. So with that said, you can always get a hold of me at 832-892 2280 if you have any further questions for me, or if you have any further questions for Fred, if you are actually looking to refinance or to purchase or anything like that. Once again, this is Blanca Smith with the Bridge Group by EXP and a proud affiliate of the Homes for Heroes program. Thank you so much and have a blessed day. Bye.